Hi, hello, and welcome. If you're new around here, which we kind of all are because this is a new channel, but regardless, my name is Clarissa and I am your college planning trail guide and I am here to help. So today we're going to be talking about student loans and how to pay them off effectively, efficiently, quickly. We just want them gone. So student loans, this has been a hot topic in society for quite a while, and I know it's also a sensitive subject for many. Student loans, they can be the difference between going to a really good school and going to an incredible school or your dream school. And so whether you're overwhelmed with the mountain of debt that you have right now, or perhaps you're just thinking about going to college and you anticipate that you may need to take out some loans to go to the school that you desire or to go to college at all, then this video is for you. So, am I a financial guru? No. But do I have several years of experience talking with hundreds of students and families about the cost of college and loans? Yes, I do. And do I have personal experience taking out thousands of dollars of student loans and paying it off? Sure do. So I've got some tips for you. There are 5 tips total. The first 4 tips are very practical tips that you can put into action. And the last tip is actually a mindset shift that was a game changer for me. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, so tip number 1 is to save on housing. This is likely one of the biggest line items on your budget that's eating up your income. So what that means is that this is one of the areas that you have the most room to save. So you could get roommates. You could live with family or a family friend. This may mean moving back home so that you can just work your tail off and really put that money towards paying off your student loans. Or maybe if you own a house, that means renting out a room, or perhaps you can even transform one of your rooms into an Airbnb so you kind of make money even with that. Or maybe this means downsizing to a smaller house with a smaller mortgage, or to a smaller apartment, or maybe it means that you don't get to move into that luxury apartment that you wanted right after you graduated from college. Instead, you choose a safe but budget-friendly apartment that would save you a bit of money. So again, you want to do what you can to reduce the cost of housing so that you can put the most money you can towards paying off your student loans. All right, tip number 2 is make more money. It sounds really obvious, but you would be surprised how many people miss out on this and just don't think about it. And so if you've already saved on housing and you've cut costs where you can and you're still wanting to pay off your loans more effectively and quickly, then you have to generate more income. And so my advice for this is do what you gotta do. So whether that means getting a job at a local Starbucks where you work 10 hours a week, or maybe you spend the weekends mowing lawns for 20 bucks a lawn or whatever it may be. Maybe you start an Etsy shop or you sell clothes and other things on Poshmark. Maybe you start to flip furniture. Maybe you become a nanny or a babysitter on care.com, or you become a pet sitter on rover.com. I'm not kidding. Like, do what you have to do. When student loans own you, no job is below you. Almost no job is below you. Use your discretion, but at this point, you really just need to advance towards your goal of financial freedom. And if that means slinging coffee as a barista, or waiting tables on the weekend, or walking dogs, or whatever it may be, it means that you are getting one step closer towards financial freedom and getting out from under those student loans with every further dollar you make. So do what you gotta do and make more money. The third tip is to rank your debt. So what I mean by this is I want you to strategically plan out your payments so that you are paying off your student loans in the most effective way possible that ends up with you actually paying less in the long run. So look at your debts, see how much you owe for each of them, and then also look at how much the interest rate is for each of them. Back when I graduated college, I had 5 different federal student loans from our good friend Sally Mae, and the interest rates ranged from about 3% to 7%. And so I ranked them by the highest interest rate first, and then within that, my second filter was ranking them by how much the actual loan itself was. So for example, if these were my 5 loans, this is how I would rank paying them off. The reason you pay off the high interest loans first is because the longer they're open, the more they're racking up interest at that high interest rate. And then the reason that you pay off those smaller loans first within each interest rate bracket is because of a little psychological trick called the snowball effect. So while it may be tempting to pay off the larger loan first, it's easier to get discouraged because it takes a lot longer to pay off this large amount of debt. Whereas if you start by paying off this smaller amount of debt, then It's gonna feel really good as you get towards the bottom and pay that off, and you can check that off. So it's gonna feel really accomplishing, and you're gonna be more likely to finish advancing towards paying off the rest of your loans in a more determined manner. Tip number 4 is to budget with the end in mind. So what is your goal? What's the end goal? It's to pay off your student loans ASAP, right? You want that financial freedom. And so does that mean you'll get to go out as much as your friends? No. Does that mean you'll get to go on all of the wonderful fun trips that you want to? Not quite yet. Does that mean you get to buy a new car right now? Nope. Right now you sacrifice. Right now you temporarily adjust your lifestyle to aggressively get after that goal of paying off your student loans. So what that means is you set up a monthly budget where after the necessary costs like food and shelter and insurance, etc., you trim as much as you can of the other costs, and you put as much as you can towards paying off your student loans. So for many of us, that may mean skipping the daily Starbucks run and instead learning to make coffee at home and learning to love Folgers. Or it may mean skipping going out for lunch every single workday, and instead, at least a couple days a week, you pack a lunch, a beautiful, maybe boring, but very budget-friendly lunch that will help you towards that goal of paying off your student loans. A little mantra that helped me with this difficult season of sacrifice was a Dave Ramsey classic, which is live like no one else, so that someday you can live like no one else. I know, it sounds confusing, but what it means is that for right now, you're going to live frugally, which is unlike many others, so that you can pay off your loans, and someday, hopefully very soon, you can live in the abundance of complete financial freedom, which is unlike most other people. And tip number 5, here we are, is a mindset shift. So the tip is develop a healthy hatred for your student loans. Or as one of my favorite professors said, get nasty with your student debt. So what this means is far too often people just get cozied up to their debt, they get comfortable with it, they know they're gonna see their loans every single month in their bank statement, every holiday, they're gonna have this as a staple conversation piece for decades to come, where they're gonna talk with their family about, oh, I hate my student debt, it's really dragging me down, what a bummer. Or they're gonna say, oh, maybe someday the government really is gonna forgive all of our student loans, so I'm just gonna hang on one more year, I'm not gonna make payments. Why do that when someday the government will pay for it? And you just get so comfortable with it, but no, just pay it off. Don't wait for anyone or anything. Pay it off right now. This is your responsibility. So pay it off and begin to hate your debt. Because I promise, if you hate it, you're not going to want to see it in your monthly statements. You're going to want to get rid of it as fast as you can so that you never have to see Mr. Student Loan in your life ever again. Rant over. But this is honestly, I think, the mindset shift that set me apart from most of my peers, is that I could not stand having debt and I hated it so much, so I had to get rid of it. I had to sacrifice. I hated it more than I loved coffee. I hated debt more than I wanted a new car. I hated it more than anything, in a very healthy way though. So I was so motivated to get it paid off. One of the best tips I could give to you. So those are my tips for you, but now I just want to share a quick little story time just to put it all into perspective. So I was very, very blessed to have mentors who really set me up for success by sharing some tips like this as I was about to graduate college. And when I graduated from college, I had about $20,000 in student loans just from college, and I paid that off in a year. So for context, I was making less than $40K that year, and I did not have any help from my parents. So I followed these tips, literally these exact tips that I just shared with you, to pay off my debt. And paying off $20,000 in just 12 months did mean that I felt like I was still a poor college student for a year after I graduated, but it also meant that I earned back my financial freedom in just 12 months, and that felt incredible. And it also meant that I only ended up paying about $1,000 in interest, whereas the average amount of interest paid on $20,000 of debt is almost $8,000. So just by paying it off in 1 year, I ended up saving essentially $7,000. That is a pretty penny and definitely motivation to pay off your loans sooner rather than later. So these are tried and true tips, and I know that they are going to help you. So if you know anybody who is trying to pay off their student loans more quickly and effectively, or they're just drowning in debt and they need some tips to save them, please share this video with them so that they can get to financial freedom sooner rather than later. And give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful for you. And just know, I believe in you. I know you can do it. You can and you will defeat your student debt. I know you can do it. Now get after it. Be well, and I'll see you in the next video.